It was epic.
I know y'all mad because championship gold looks good on the blue and orange. But in
Perfect
all
guy for a perfect
seriousness,
spot.
Green Bay, we are in the shadow of Lambeau Field. And I love Lambeau Field because the king of the North, the best quarterback in the NFC North, Caleb Williams, is undefeated at Lambeau Field.
That laugh is killing me.
And in case y'all aren't familiar with my game, let me remind you, I am a visionary. I am a revolutionary. I am Seth freaking Rollins. And I am here to tell you that with the 56th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the greatest franchise in the NFL, the Chicago Bears, select Ozzie Tropillo, tackle from Boston College. Let's burn it down and bear down, Chicago.
So hopefully everybody enjoyed the little video. I thought I'd do something different. And Clay Matthews, I'll raise you a Seth freaking Rollins. Bear down. So everybody, welcome to show number 50 for the Bears Den podcast. I got my boys Todd. I got my guy Chicago Clarence. I got G Walker from C&G Podcast joining us tonight. So as always, if you're watching us, please follow us, like us, subscribe to us. We can be found on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. So how's everybody doing, guys?
Pretty
good,
man.
not good?
Pretty good.
Doing good.
Pretty good.
Good.
Pretty good. I'm happy, man. I'm happy with a lot of stuff the Bears doing recently. I can't be too mad.
No, I can't be too mad either.
Can't be too mad.
So we were talking before. Apparently, one guy is really young, but and does not remember this guy. And you guys will probably figure out which one. But we did want to bring up Steve McMichael. To me, he was the perfect Chicago Bear for the time and the era. I'll just let everybody say a few words, and then we're break down the NFL draft for you guys. So, Todd, I'll let you start. Steve McMichael.
McMichael was not necessarily the heart of that defense, because he lined up in front of Singletary. He would have been, but just the guy that would do anything on that line. He was probably the least talented on that line with Richard Dent and Perry and of course Dan Hampton there. But he did everything he had to do. He was one of Buddy's guys to the end. And even after that on the radio, he did a lot of stuff. For the up until the last couple of years for the Bears, and he was always entertaining. He was. I really appreciated what he did.
Chicago Clarence, you got any words to say about Steve McMichael?
Well, man, he was just the epitome of hard work. I think that he got the most out of his ability. And if you just see the way that he fought around with that ALS, people thought that he was going to leave here a lot sooner than he did. And that's just a testament to the kind of heart that he had. And so I appreciated what he brought to that defense and what he brought to that team. And I don't know if you guys know, but he had a pretty promising wrestling career after that as well.
He did.
So, I remember him from that.
Yeah, so, McMichael, what I loved most about him was the love that he had for the Chicago Bears franchise.
Right.
He loved that team, and he loved that city. He loved playing in that stadium, and he loved playing for the fans. And he always would say that when you put a microphone in front of him and asked him about the Bears. So, I just say rest in peace, brother.
So, G. Walker, when you got anything you want to say about Steve McMichael?
Yeah, man. Every time I've seen him, he had a really good personality, man. He was funny. He was humorous from what I saw. He loved the Bears, and he almost had 100 sacks. I think I'm correct on that. I think he had like 94 or 92 sacks. That alone is hard to do. despite being on a team that was loaded with, Perry and Singletary and Hampton, he still almost ended up with 100 sacks, which is impressive no matter how you slice that, man. 90-something sacks when you pretty much wasn't the most talented person on the defensive line for a career is pretty amazing. Seriously.
95 sacks, 3 safeties, 16 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions at nose tackle. That's hard to do. So anyway, yeah, great player.
Yeah, to me personally, he was the perfect Chicago Bear. Sometimes they say players are born to wear a jersey. I feel like that man was born to be a Chicago Bear. He stayed in the city and did stuff with ESPN radio. I enjoyed thoroughly the morning after he passed when Cap and Jay Hood and Sylvie and Waddle shared all their stories with about Steve McMichael. And then I remember his wrestling career as well. He joined the Four Horsemen, and Ric Flair was one of my idols as a kid. And so to me, he was the perfect Chicago Bear. He was the definition of a Chicago Bear during that time, that era, and that team.
Yeah, I read somewhere today that Flair said that McMichael was his best friend of any wrestler, apparently. So I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were pretty tight, and they stayed. Yeah. I think Rick visited him many times when he was battling ALS. I think the picture on the left is in McMichael's house when he had ALS.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Fought for a long time, too. He was
he did.
Man. He fought for a very, very long time.
All right, guys. So let's get into the main event of our show. Let's get into the main event of our show. And just for the record, we were at Hickory Tavern when we watched the draft, and we held down the table. No tables were overturned. If you heard the story, you already know it. But Todd, this man was our number 1 draft pick, Colston Loveland. To say the least, I wish I would have had the camera out and videotaped it because all of our jaws were open and they hit the floor. We were all expecting Tyler Warren or a trade here. So what do you think of this draft pick at number 10, Colston Loveland, tight end, Michigan?
You want me first? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, I was surprised. I think we all were. I wasn't sure that we would go Warren, but I wasn't sure we'd go tight end. But I thought that if we were, that Warren was going to be the player. It's the lying season for a reason. And I think that I think ideally we could have traded back a little bit, but I just don't think the value was there. I think everybody was talking about 70 cents on the dollar on trades, and I just there wasn't a whole lot. There was some towards the end of the first round, but there's other than at number 2, there wasn't much movement, and so look, they picked the guy they wanted. They had both of them on the board. If they were going to go tight end, I guess they felt like it was too early for Hampton, and he went 22 to he went 22. So yeah, Omari Hampton. So
he went to 22 San Diego Chargers.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess the deal wasn't going to happen, and they did the stick and pick, and they chose the tight end they wanted. So it's on them.
Yeah, G. Walker, what do you think of Colston Loveland, number 10?
You know what, man? I'm just like y'all, man. Like, I didn't expect him to go 10. I didn't even know who he was for real, man. I'll be honest with you. So a lot of people, I don't even watch college football. I usually get into college football, of course, when the draft comes. I'm not one of these people that do mock drafts all day long and sit up. I'd rather wait till it gets real, and then the real names start coming out for people who we might draft. And they was tight-lipped about this. I didn't hear them talking about this kid at all. I don't even really remember them having a visit with them or anything. So when they picked him, it was completely left field. When JT didn't fall to 10, I thought we was going to take somebody in the pass rush or somebody like that, or a running back. So to get a tight end, just let you further know that Ben Johnson is pretty much hell bent on getting his tight end. Like Cole Kmet is not his tight end. He is not the type of tight end that he wants on this team. So he found the guy that he wants on this team to be the tight end. So like I said, I'm not one of the people that had like a pick per se. Like I don't. As long as the person they pick is going to help the team, I'm always one of those people. You know what I mean? Like if it helps the scheme on offense, helps the scheme on defense, he's a blue chip player on offense or defense, then I can do my research, find out who he is, see who guy he's going to fit on the defense or the offense. Then I have fun that way. So the fact that he got a guy that he thinks that's better than Tyler Warren kind of blew my mind, because I'm hearing things on YouTube and wrap it up, but I'm hearing things about Tyler Warren's more of a Gronk. The production came later in his career. He's more of a, you can throw him the ball, he'll run someone over. But if you want somebody that's going to be a better route runner, can go vertical a little bit more, go get it, it seems like Colston is more disguised as a wide receiver than a tight end. So I like it. I got to see it on the field, but I like it. It is what it is.
And we saved the best for last. Chicago Clarence, what did you think of Colston Loveland going number 10?
Well, you guys were right there with me. You thought I was going to
Yes,
flip
we
the
were.
table over.
Yes, we held it down.
He texted
We
me and
held
told me that. He was like,
it down.
He told me he too.
I wasn't happy about it. It totally came out of left field.
It did.
And then, I was upset later on in the draft with the New England Patriots because they ended up getting the running back that I wanted. And so I got this newfound hate for the Patriots. But I also got this newfound love for the Raiders because they saved us from ourselves. I posted that because there's no doubt in my mind that the Chicago Bears would have taken Gentry had he fallen at 10. And there were reports that we were on the phones trying to move up to get Gentry, which is, in my opinion, would have been a mistake. The Chicago Bears don't pay me to make decisions for them, even though I wish they would, and I think they should. I tend to be right in a lot of the stuff that I have said before we even started doing this show. You guys been watching football with me for a long time, and I love to remind folk that I am usually right. I thought that we should have went back and attacked the line with that pick, and I still stand on that. I don't give a damn on who you thought was going to be a good value at that, but over the years of watching this team play, with how we conduct our business, and I have been on record talking about the stadium, all of that, we are so far away from, every step we take, we're on our way home. You know what I'm saying? That's how far we're away from being a consistent playoff team. And we get enamored with shiny new toys instead of continuing to do what's right. And this was a moment to point your feet in the direction of doing what's right. You got, and what you believe is a franchise quarterback. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I have been on record as many times talking about how we treated Justin Fields and how we didn't give him the opportunity to really showcase his talents. We have talked about that ad nauseum. And one of the things that we refuse to give him is a competent offensive line. And so the Chicago Bears, in all of their infinite wisdom, sits there and likes to think that they have did enough for that line. And the number 10 pick was where I thought we should have went. Now, this dude from Michigan, I do watch college football, and he is a handful. But I still like Tyler Warren better. Tyler Warren, in a lot of cases, is unguardable. He is unguardable. He will run past linebackers, and if you put a safety on him, he's going to body him up. And I especially like how he likes to operate when he got the ball in his hands. So this Loveland kid, and people are not talking about it, like this dude had off-season
he did.
shoulder surgery.
Right. Yes, he did.
We don't even know if he's going to be ready. So you mean to tell me that we invested a top 10 pick in a guy and we're not even sure he's going to be ready for the start of the season? We're not even sure he's going to be ready for training camp. Do you see what happens to players that don't get any off-season work, that don't get any training camp? You want to talk? Go ask Amagaji how it feels to be thrust into a season when you didn't have no off-season work. So, I know I went off on a tangent. I tend to do that, but that's how I felt about the pick.
Hey, Andy, before we
Go
leave
ahead.
Loveland, hey, I think I kind of came off harsh on that. I'm not unhappy with it, and I don't think the value's bad. I think that
the value is not bad.
Loveland's floor was 14. You must have projected if we were going to go tight end, they were going to take the other one, whether it was Warren or Loveland, depending on who picked who. It was going to and 10 and 14. So it's not.
And
they
were trying to trade up to get him too. Some teams were trying to trade.
Yeah, I heard that too.
That's reported. So he does have value. He does have value.
There wasn't a defensive end that fits our system on the board there. There was some lighter guys that really wouldn't have worked well for us. And when the 3 tackles went in the first 8 picks, first 9 picks, the only guy there that you may look back and regret it and he fell Simmons all the way to 32. But his injury is serious. And
Yes.
You don't know what is. Connerly at 29 was the other tackle there, and his range was right there, 29 to 28, 29 to 40. So there really wasn't. I mean, the guy that scared me to death was 17, Shamar Stewart, who was the size that we needed at defensive end. But that guy, he'll either be a Hall of Famer or we won't ever talk about him again. So,
well, yeah. Okay, so this is the question, and I'm gonna ask you guys this: do you think that tight end was our number one need?
No.
At 10, let's say that we can't trade back,
right?
And the offensive lineman that we wanted or covered it is off the board. Mm-hmm. I would surmise to say that we could have went and got the guy from Georgia at 10. I would have been happy with that. That was a bigger need than Loveland or Warren at 10.
You talking about Williams that went at 11?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a 3-4 edge. He's not. I mean, that's just. We'll see what happens with him. But I mean, if I didn't take tight end and I had to go defense there for natural fit, I would have probably taken Grant that went to Miami, and that was too early for him.
Yeah,
Grant or Nolan would have been if I had to go defense and that was the run of players there. That's what I'd do. You got a couple of guards in there that'll be offensive guards that'll be decent players probably, but it's just.
I mean, I like the Walker kid, but he was too small. I get that.
Right.
But Grant's a run stopper. I mean that
right.
Georgia's defense, it's hard to run on those dudes. They don't care who you are. You don't run on them.
Oh, yeah,
and that's one of our biggest weaknesses. We need to be able to stop the run. And I just don't think. I think that would have been a prime position to address that.
Well,
yeah. So moving on to the next pick, G. Walker, I'll let you kick this one off because I know you love this guy already. Luther Burton. This was a jaw-dropping pick for me too. Yeah. I did not think we were going with Burton here, but like Todd and Clarence have already said, our running back was gone at 38. I think we were going to go Henderson at 39, but G. Walker, Luther Burton, round 2, pick 39. What you got to say about this guy?
You know what, man? When I found out we went wide receiver, like I said, I missed a lot of the draft because I was taking care of some business. But the kid has a lot of first-round grades.
Yes, he did.
He's talked about in a lot of circles, in a lot of football circles in the NFL, a lot of college guys. Steve Smith Jr. said he could play. The fact that, he's been a starter since high school, and I even said on our show, is he a blue-chip player? You know what I mean? Like, is he blue-chip? And it looks like we got a blue-chip at this position. He looks like he's kind of be like an Amon-Ra type to this offense. And I just think that Ben Johnson just went and attacked everything he had in Detroit and just bossed and got these guys here. I like the fact that he's aggressive like Ben. He coming here with a chip on his shoulder. He feel like he got passed over in the other, guys went ahead of him. So he's going to come in with a chip on his shoulder. And that's what you want. You want a motivated football player. He seems to be motivated. He got something to prove. He feel like people doubted him, and I can't wait to see him play. But Steve Smith Jr. did say he's immature a little bit, and he is a me guy. He can be a me guy. And it was a good interview they were doing talking about. He could be a me guy. But overall, look, DJ Moore, I'm not necessarily a fan of him necessarily. So, his leadership quality is not the best. But we got a guy I'm looking like he can play the slot. He can do a lot of this. He can do a lot of this. So I'm looking like this might be DJ Moore's replacement. So I just can't wait to see how training camp starts, man, because I like him. I really do. I really, really do. I cannot wait to see what he can do with Caleb and Ben Johnson. Motivated too, and Ben Johnson got something to prove. Fireworks. Can't wait.
So, Chicago Clarence, what do you say about Luther Burton? He's listed at 6 feet. He came out as a junior. 206 is his weight. What do you say about Luther Burton, our second pick there?
There are people that's talking about that he's the best recruit that Missouri ever had.
Mm-hmm.
That's saying a lot with some of the players that's come out of Missouri. Alden Smith and, Macklin, those guys. From what I've seen, the tape that I've seen on him, he's electric with the ball after the catch. And I think that's where he brings value. I think that Ben Johnson is trying to tailor his offense that he's planning on running in Chicago with the offense that he was running in Detroit. And like I said, I know that I was pretty hard about the Loveland pick, but I think that Ben Johnson deserves
Mm-hmm.
some rope here from
Yeah.
the fans, and because
Mhm.
this is his first time around, and we got to see what it is. But us Bear fans, we're gun shy. We've been, you going upside
Yeah.
our head so much. Every time you raise your hand, we draw up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got no choice. We have seen it all. So we just at the point now to where we're just starving to win. We don't know what an
Yes.
electric offense looks like. We ain't never had one.
No.
So to
Mhm.
see these guys that he is stockpiling up on the offensive side of the ball, it's very easy to see how he calls his plays. Is very easy to get excited to what kind of offense we can potentially have, which is the reason
Mhm.
why I've been raising so much hell about the left tackle position. I want
Yes.
Caleb Williams to be up to I
Yeah.
don't want him to be sacked 68 times again this year like he was last year. So in order to get the ball to all of these studs that they get, we got to be able to protect our quarterback.
Right.
So this guy right here is going to be electric. They're not planning on having him return punts. I haven't heard that. But he's going to be somebody they're going to stick in the slot, and good luck trying to guard him if it's what they're saying.
So
Yeah.
Todd, the rumor on the street is his value was just too great to pass up, and sometimes you got to take the best player available. We've talked about that a lot, and I think that's what the case was. What do you think of Luther Burton?
Yeah, I was surprised. There's the weapon wise, I felt like we needed to shift to a defensive player at this position, but
Mhm.
I went
Mhm.
well when Henderson, officially,
Yes.
but it wasn't even Henderson. It was Judkins that went at 36,
Judkins.
and then Henderson that went at 38. I mean, the one was directly in front of us, and the other was 3 picks away, and we're just standing there like shocked. I think they expected probably both of those guys on the board, and neither were. So it put him in a spot. I know it was a different coaching, our head coach anyway last year, but wasn't there a segment or part of the Hard Knocks where they talked to the coaches and they pound the table for a guy and they look to them, and that carries a lot of weight? Did I dream that, or is that something they talked about last year during Hard Knocks? Because this seemed to be the Antoine Randall pick. Like he seemed to be all over
Yes,
this.
he was. Rumor
Were
on the
they-
street is he was pounding the
Yeah.
table
Yeah,
with
and
Luther Burton.
I think, yeah, and I think maybe some of the picks we're talking about going forward, there may be some explanations there as to why they were taken. But anyway, about Burden, I think there's a pretty good drop off to the next wide receiver pick. The guy named Trey Harris was all the way to 55. So if they were looking in that direction, he was the last of that group. But and I know a lot of people love Emeka Ibuka, but he was at 19. I could think you could easily switch these two. If Burton went 19 and Ibuka was there for us, it wouldn't have surprised me. So I think it's tremendous value there. And all the comps you get are Debo, and I don't know, Luther Burden may get some carries out of the backfield. Even he seems to be the hits I've seen him. I watched the thing Steve Smith did about him the other night, and talked about how he's a different player with the ball in his hands than not. Like he wasn't as aggressive without it. And so some early touches that way if you use him in a Debo role. But there's a lot of guys looking for a lot of touches, and there's not going to be that many of them. So there could be a little bit of, I mean, we've got 3 receivers that can argue that they should have been at least high number 2 or number 1 guys. And then now we've got 2 tight ends looking for the ball. So, but really good value for injuries too.
Yeah,
if one of those guys go down, then
Yes. Good point. Good point.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Now we get to the Chicago Clarence's favorite position. I'll let him go first. We drafted an offensive tackle. Only problem is he's a right offensive tackle. Ozzy Trujillo is a mountain of a man, 6'8", 300 pounds. So, Chicago Clarence, what did you think of this pick? Because I know you love tackles.
Well, the problem I have with this pick is, what are you planning on doing at right tackle? This guy hasn't played left tackle. So you drafted a guy to play a position that you're already set at, And like I asked on Walker's show yesterday, have we not learned our lesson?
No.
About taking players and moving them into other positions simply because it suits us and our thinking, but not really suits the player to play at his best or suits the team. You know, we had Kyle Long all set at guard, making it to the Pro Bowl. And what did we do? We moved him around the line because we wanted to take other pieces and plug him into the spot that he had already hunkered down. I don't want to see that with this guy. So when I saw us take this, I was shaking my head like, what are we doing? We ain't learned our lesson yet.
Mm-mm.
That's what I thought.
G. Walker, what do you think of Ozzy Trujillo?
I mean, I just think he's, like you said, everybody said, I mean, he's a giant, man. The kid has nimble feet, he has quick hands, but he never played the right tackle, you said?
He plays
He
right
never played
tackle.
left tackle. He never played left tackle.
Left tackle. So the fact that they, but he said he played inside, he played outside. So you know what I mean? He's a project, but I like it, man, just because we don't have too much going forward on that offensive line. Sonny is getting up there in age. Jonah Jackson is getting up there. Braxton Jones not guaranteed. It's a lot of still question marks on this offensive line, man. So I think they, again, like you guys been saying, they got the best value, best pick. And you can't be mad at it. You have to just give the opportunity to these coaches so they can coach these players up. We don't really know what they're going to be. So it's no matter who we take, we have to just give them to the coaches and let the coaches see what they can really be and what they can really do. So the fact that he's played multiple positions on the offensive line, I got a little bit of optimism for him. I'm not going to sit here and say the kid is going to be bad or is he going to be good. It's just a simple fact that we need help on the offensive line. So to get someone 6'8", 316 pounds, it's hard for me to say I don't like it. You know what I mean? I like it. Just because it's something that you can work on and you can work with them and mold them into what you want them to be. And he has a little bit of experience playing multiple positions on that line. So for that reason, I like the pick.
Todd?
I heard a couple of days ago that he did take some snaps at left.
I'm reading up. He did take
maybe 100 snaps at left. Yeah. Look, this draft, and I don't love this draft, but honestly, there were two guys that legitimately played left tackle, and Simmons was one, and that injury's serious. He went 32, and Connerly played left. I mean, even Membu, who went at 7,
right tackle though,
was a right tackle. Now Will Campbell played left tackle, but he's a guard, man. I mean, he's just not going to play that. I mean, they may try it, but there wasn't a true left tackle in this draft other than really Simmons. So I think you leave Darnell alone, and you put this guy in left to start and see where he can get to. And I would be thrilled if going into 2026, if Ozzy is the left tackle and Amagaji's a swing, and we can deal Braxton Jones, not pay Braxton Jones, whatever we can get for you. Ain't going to get a lot because he's going to be in a contract year, but you could do a sign and trade for something, and just not be tied to all of that money on that offensive line like that.
So moving on to our next pick, G. Walker, I'll let you kick this one off. Shamar Turner, defensive line, Texas A&M. Now, this guy played every position on the D-line. I think that's why we chose him, because he's versatile, which is what Dennis Allen supposedly wants. So what do you think of Shamar Turner? He was round 2, pick 62.
I mean, it's another person that we need help on the line. Like, everything we're getting, everybody's a project. It's a crapshoot. So the fact that they just going out there to get guys to put in that are coming up, and you building your farm, I mean, it is what it is, man. We really don't know what these guys are going to be until they get on the field. But he's played multiple positions on the defensive line, which I'm not mad. I can see if they're picking people that have no experience playing multiple positions. Ozzy played multiple positions on the offensive line. Shamar Turner played multiple positions on the defensive line. So if I'm got him and I'm his coach, okay, you're a second-round pick, so that means you are talented. That means you're not far off from a starter. These second-round picks should be perceived as starters for the future. So they could be, and they more than likely should be starters coming up in a couple of years. So we got another one, a second-round pick, defensive tackle. Dennis Allen is going to be his coach. Big guy that can move around. You can put him here, you can put him there. I'm excited about that, like, because we need to build the trenches up, man. We got to build the trenches up.
So Chicago, Clarence, I know your other favorite position is defensive tackle. What do you think of Shamar Turner?
Well, this is one of the picks that I absolutely liked. I think that he's going to add some depth on the defensive line. We need it.
Yes, we do.
We got Jared in there, and I think out of all the people who we got in the off season, he's the one that I am the most excited about because we
Yeah.
have got to get some stability. We've got to get somebody that's nasty in the middle of our defense that's going to help plug up those gaps so the running backs don't run between the tackles on us. I mean, we've had the ball ran down our throat the last few games. Even when our defense was top 12, top 15, people were still able to run on us. And if you want to lose a game late in the game and people are able to bleed the clock out, there's nothing more demoralizing than having another team run the ball on you and you can't stop it. This
Yeah.
guy is good against the run. He will be able to get in there if Jared can't sustain a full game or play a full schedule because he's a little long on the tooth. But Jared has that attitude that he's going to maximize his abilities, and this guy has that very same attitude. I think that's the reason why they took him. The fact that he played multiple positions on the defensive line is great because Dennis Allen can move people around and give offensive different looks. But at the end of the day, you plug this guy in there and tell him to go get the quarterback. He has that ability. He also has the ability to help stop the run. I love this.
Yeah. I was hyped.
Todd?
Yeah.
Todd, what say you about Shamar Turner, defensive line, Texas A&M?
Yeah, it was good value where he went. There's a lot of complaints about the A&M system. In that guys sometimes aren't always in the best position. They just seem to have a different philosophy there, and that contributed to the lack of sacks for a lot of guys. But no, I think the biggest thing is versatility between Bayo and the slim down Dexter, and now Turner. You've got these guys that can just bounce all over the place. And that's a great thing to have. I mean, a true edge rusher, and maybe, I don't know, maybe somebody can develop into that, a little lighter bend guy just for that extra piece. But just so much of this is interchangeable. And again, injuries, you're replacing a guy with a guy that has the versatility like the other guy. That these are smart moves.
Yeah, smart.
Yes. So, G. Walker, I'll let you start this one off. This was considered the reach of all of our picks. This was considered the reach. Most grades had him 6th, 7th. You might be able to get him as a undrafted free agent. Ruben Hippolyte, the second linebacker, Maryland. This one was shocking. I mean, I thought we needed linebacker help in depth, but when I read up on him and that he could have been available, this was a shocking pick as well. So, G. Walker, what do you say about Ruben?
I mean, this was one of the ones I thought if there was any running backs left, and like I said, I missed the whole thing, man. I was getting updates and stuff, so I didn't see this pick. So I'm thinking it's the 4th round. You get good value for a running back in the 4th round. So we didn't get a running back. I had no words, man. Like, I'm like, a linebacker. This was the first one I was just like, I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking with this one. Like, what running backs was there? Like, I'm gonna pass this over to Todd, man. Like, were there any running backs? I don't like this pick, man. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and try to pacify it and give it some optimism. This is one of the ones I didn't like, especially there was a running back there. I didn't like it. Didn't.
So I'm reading the scouting report on him. He projects to be an average backup or special teamer. They say he's really fast, which
he's really fast.
Supposedly Ben Johnson is coveting speed. He loves speed. I mean, it showed blazing speed for a 236-pound linebacker. That's on his pro sheet. So, Todd, I'll let you think for a minute. Chicago Clarence, what do you think of our linebacker from Maryland?
Coach. My bad. Go ahead.
Oh, I know Ben Johnson, but he likes team speed. It's another thing he supposedly covets. Okay. Chicago Clarence, what do you think of our linebacker from Maryland?
I think that this was one of those picks that we got for special teams. They'll try him out and let him get in because we let Sanborn go and see if he maybe can fill that position. Maybe not start, but come off the bench. But I think this was much more than something for special teams to add some depth on there. We're going to need a new gunner and all that stuff. So I kind of thought that this was one of those picks. But like Walker said, I'm looking for a running back around this time that we start making these picks. And I'm like, man, where the hell are the running backs at? I know it's a deep running back class, but we ain't took one yet. So at this time when I'm seeing these guys come off the board, I'm like scratching my head like, where are the running backs?
Right. Hey, Urel. Urel is on. We met him at Hickory Tavern at our draft party. I told him all about us, and Hopefully, you're taking me up on the invitation and join our show one day. But thank you for your
What's up,
comment.
Real?
He wanted Brashard Smith out of SMU with that pick. So Todd,
Yes, sir. So I'm gonna assume that we went into round 4. There were 2 backs this pick was we were at 109. We traded back to 132 and made that pick for the linebacker. But we were setting at 109. And, there were 2 backs that went at 104 and 105. Baseball Tootin is a smaller back. He actually went to Carolina A&T.
Okay.
It's not an exact comp for Tariq Cohen, but, he was real quick, scat back guy. I'm thinking maybe they were interested in him. And then, of course, everybody knows Scattaboo, and he went at 105. That was a bit of a surprise. I think they probably would have been in on him. I think he would have been a good locker room piece and could have obviously contributed. So when the 4 picks, the 2 Ohio State, well, including Genty, the 5, the 2 Ohio State kids, and these 2 were right in our range, and we just came up short on them. The other running back, the Caleb Johnson kid out of Iowa, I don't think we ever really had any interest in him. Didn't seem to anyway. So we made this deal and traded back to 132. And we're talking about the pounding the table guy. I'm hoping this is a Dennis Allen guy. Development, what G. Walker's talking about. Development is everything.
Yes.
You can make all these picks in the world.
Man.
If we don't develop these guys, it doesn't matter. So he's quick. What I've watched on video, and look, I watched a lot of video going in. If I didn't watch a single second of this kid, and he goes in the 4th round. But if you watch him, he's got this hesitation and then blitz, gap kind of thing. He seems to have a good instinct for that. He's really quick. But yeah, you put him on special teams, make him the gunner, see if you can make him the gunner, and see if you can develop into the. But yeah, yes. I mean, we let go of Sanborn, which was surprising to us.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but this kid is the complete opposite of what he would have been. So maybe he's the 4th or 5th linebacker on the roster. Maybe he gets some work. But yeah, should definitely be special teams guy, and we're rolling the dice with him.
Yes. Yeah, Uriel, we all agree with you. We think we would have taken Henderson if he would have been available. Yeah, we were all in agreement on that one. So back to the draft. So this is another guy that supposedly Al Harris pounded the table for Za Frazier. 6'3" out of Texas San Antonio. I've actually seen him play. I didn't know it at the time. He played against Charlotte 49ers. I didn't know he was going to be an NFL draft pick. I was surprised I got to see him play. So, G. Walker, what do you think of Za Frazier, cornerback, Texas San Antonio?
To be a 6'3" corner.
Yes.
But you never see 6'3" corners.
No.
Those guys are usually 5'9", 5'10". So the fact that he's 6'3", you'll think that he would be more of a safety or something like that. That's tall because he has to be able to move his feet and his hips. Mm-hmm. With a guy like DJ Moore, with a guy like Justin Jefferson, man, he got to be able to run and chase guys. You know what I mean? Like, how tall is JJ? JJ is not that tall as a corner. JJ's not 6'3". So you get a 6'3" corner. I don't know what are they doing with this. This doesn't make corner sense to me at all. I'm just being honest. I don't see it. I gotta watch his tape and somebody can inform me, but I don't see it. 6'3". Unless he's special there, then he wouldn't have got drafted where he got drafted. He would have got drafted way higher. So, I don't know.
Chicago Clarence, what do you think of Za Frazier?
It's tall, man.
Well, I mean, when we sitting there, we picking in these later rounds. It's right. We just trying to find gold someplace. Mm-hmm. He felt like he had the picks to spend it on. And I was just kind of waiting to sum up, this draft. But, when I see stuff like this come off the board, and I'm like, okay, we need to address some key needs right here. And, we're talking about running back. We're talking about safety. We talk about edge rusher. And we're talking about left tackle. Those are 4 key positions that we got all these picks in. And we did not address them yet. So when I'm sitting here looking at all of these guys coming off the board, I'm like, what the fuck? What are we doing? Yeah. What's your thinking? Mm-hmm. What is your thinking? You don't drafted a linebacker that most people thought could go undrafted. You then turn around and now you're drafting a 6'3" cornerback. and we still need a safety.
It's tall.
Yes.
I wanted Xavier Watts. So I thought Xavier Watts would have been a great fit for us. We could have gotten him. I think he went like 119, something like that, Todd. I'm not sure.
99 to the Falcons.
Yeah, so he went a little bit early, but hell, we traded back.
No,
We could have.
99 was a deal. That was a steal at 99. He should have went higher than that.
That guy can play. That guy
Yeah.
can play. I've watched him his whole career. No, that guy can play.
Did you put him
And
on
I would
our
have.
pre-draft podcast? You wanted me to bring him on. We did it with you,
Yeah.
man, and you spoke about him highly. So yeah,
That guy can play. He's a ball hawk, man. He takes the ball away. And you put him in zone. He don't just man his area guy. You throw that ball anywhere near his vicinity, he's knocking it down or he's picking it off. So that's what I thought about him. I'm just willing to just see how all of this stuff meshes up and see how, because Ben Johnson ain't coached the game yet.
No.
And I'm just hoping that this stuff works. I really and truly am. We can talk about all day of what we wanted to see, who we got, try to break that down and what it meant to us. Really and truly, you want to see people, your first few picks, because those are supposed to be starters. So,
Right.
you talking about Loving. Loving has got to start. If he has this bum shoulder and he's not able to start the season off for whatever reason, and it lingers on into the season, shame on you, because there are other options. If Caleb Williams gets killed again and you didn't adequately address the position at left tackle, shame on you, because you had options. So that's just the mode that I'm in right now. I mean, I know we typically like to summarize stuff later on, but I'm upset watching the draft, at the things that I felt like we should have, the direction that we went in. I wasn't happy with that. I have to just kind of just hope that all of it comes together for Ben Johnson. But looking at the draft in a whole, especially when we got to these later rounds, I wasn't really happy with the direction we was going, because we just had too many needs. I didn't feel like we was adequately addressing them.
So Todd, I'll bring this one to you.
Yes, sir.
Michigan State, Luke Newman.
Okay, Luke Newman.
He was 4 years left tackle at, I think we looked
Holy
this up,
Cross.
Holy Cross, and then
Holy Cross, yeah.
Michigan State put him at guard this year.
Right, he's a guard.
He's a guard.
He's a guard, potential developmental center.
Center maybe, yeah.
He was right on the edge of a priority free agent also. But the key with offensive linemen, what I see is that if you think that he's a priority free agent, then you take him at the end, because you kind of got to take them guys about they go about 30 spots higher than they should typically when they're under grades. So they obviously seen something they liked in him. On Frazier, maybe they give him a chance at safety, because we have a hole there. I mean, we can or maybe you can get him some time at corner end at safety, and he can be the backup, just in case everybody goes down. So, but as far as Newman, I don't really have any. He has it's better measurables than what we have for backup or even third string guard / center. So it might our friend the fullback, he may be in trouble.
Doug Kramer.
Doug Kramer, yeah.
Yes.
Illinois
Doug
State
Kramer.
Yeah, Kramer's a little undersized, and I think that he'll. Yeah, we'll see what happens. So there'll be competition there for sure.
So just for the sake of time, I'll go right to G Walker for our last pick, Kyle. And we got
Monungai, yeah.
So to me, this pick says Ben Johnson got his power back in Kyle, and he got his scat back in DeAndre Swift. That's what it looks like to me. And this guy has never put the ball on the carpet, which is in itself an amazing stat. So, G Walker, anything you want to say about Kyle Monungai?
I mean, this is the one person I did look up, some of his footage and some of his highlights. So, man, the kid, he's a willing blocker. He's fast in space. He's good at breaking tackles. He played at Rutgers, man, and that's a tough. What is that big
Big
division
10.
up there? Big 10.
Big 10.
Yeah.
So he's coming from a division, man. So he looks like Ashton Genty. So we got an Ashton Genty at home now. We have Ashton Genty at home. He looks to be a guy that could be a bell cow running back too. You know what I mean? So he got good acceleration, he got good burst, he can break tackles. He's a willing blocker. So the fact that he's not, perfect at blocking, because I've seen some things on film, but he's trying. Yeah. And that's half the problem, is to try. Give me somebody that's going to try. So I like the pick, man. We should have got a running back a little bit sooner. I mean, but we got one. So I can't wait to see what he can do. I can't wait to see what Eric Bieniemy can do with him. It's all about what these coaches can do with these guys at project. Then you understand why these guys are getting these paychecks and why people are so hype about, Roshar and Allen and Harris and Randall L. and Barry. Like, these picks are picks. But the real teaching is going to come from the coaches. Yes. You guys are up. I don't care about the players necessarily like that, but all this hype about this coaching staff, I want to see it. And I especially want to see what they're going to do with that 6'3" corner, man. I'm going to watch that in camp. I want to see what they're going to do with him, because 6'3" out the corner, I don't see that, man. But I'm intrigued with what they can do with him.
Yeah. So, Todd, is our running game as bad as shape as everybody thinks it is? I mean, do we need to do something crazy and go sign Nick Chubb? Isn't our running game better already because our offensive line is better? No, I don't want Chubb either. But our offensive line is, on paper, is better already. And part of our problem last year was we couldn't open holes. We couldn't block anything. Is our running game better or worse?
Oh, no, running game's better to space on the line, for sure.
Yes.
I mean, Joe Thune. Come on. It's just, it's going to be better. I don't think Chubb's going to be very expensive. I would lean towards bringing him in. It's got to be, 2.5, something low. Just a prove it deal, and maybe he's gone next year, and he just was a stopgap, and and you don't want to give him the ball a bunch anyway. It's just going to be a real. He doesn't play for us, so let's not talk about him. Kyle Monangai, 1,734 snaps at Rutgers, 1 penalty, 0 fumbles, and the last 2 seasons as their feature back, a 5.1 and a 5 yards per attempt. Lunch pail. Mm-hmm. He's not fast. He's not going to outrun anybody, but he's going to be there, and he will block. And he'll do what. I mean, he should have been a 5th round pick. That's about where he checked in at, and I had seen a lot of him. The 3 guys in front of him I hadn't, but I had seen quite a bit of him. It's a really
good point, Urel.
Yeah, Nate Davis.
Good point. We got rid of Nick Davis.
Yeah.
Good point.
So I'm real happy with Monangai. I think that puts some pressure on Roschon. I mean, because there's a lot of a lot of repeated stuff that they share. I mean, I think that Roschon is probably a better blocker. At least his reputation as a blocker is higher. Whether he really is doing that or not, we'll see. But other than that, they have the same skill set for the most part. So it's good competition.
So let me stop everybody. Cody Rollins. Nick Chubb back to squatting 600 pounds. He's jumping over hurdles. Bears should go sign him. Yeah. I've always said I would give anybody a chance. There's nothing wrong with inviting somebody into camp or for a tryout and giving them a chance. I don't have a problem with giving anybody an opportunity to play or show they can play or show they're not washed up. I would not give him no big contract like Todd just said. No way would I give him a big contract.
Right.
No way. There's no way I would do it. Even if he proved it, I still. Yeah. So Chicago Clarence, let's change the mood here. The draft is over. Now we're in the dead zone of the season. But looking back at the draft, what kind of draft was this? Who do you think was running the show? Ben Johnson, Ryan Poles? Were they drafting best player available? Were they drafting by need? What's your take on this draft now that it's over? I mean, who was running the show?
I'm really glad that you formed a question like that, because I do have a couple of thoughts on that.
I know you do. I can see you simmering. I can see the steam.
One of the things that I hate when people say is we took the best player available. I don't want to hear that shit. You should take the best player available for your team. That's the kind of thinking that you need to be having. Because if the best player available is a running back and your ass don't need a running back, then why the hell are we taking him? So you should be thinking about who is the best player for our team, who best addresses our needs. We need to get around to that thinking. I think that this was Ben Johnson's draft. I think the first pick told us that. you know, and as much as I really didn't care for it, I'm willing to sit back and watch how it materializes because I do believe that Ben Johnson knows what he's talking about when we're talking about drawing up plays, the personnel we're going to be using in this play, and actually calling it when it's time to call it. He seems to have grasped all three of those things, and we ain't never had that an offensive coordinator. Even when our, guru play caller Matt Nagy was our head coach. But the thing about it is he a good head coach? And that remains to be seen. So I think that Ryan Poles kind of married himself to Ben Johnson because Ryan Poles' job is on the line. This is not everybody forget that. Ryan Poles' job is on the line. Pressure is coming from the top because he's had his time. You've got your quarterback in there now. So what are we going to do? It's time to start winning football games. And we can't look as bad as we have looked, especially last year, in losing football. I mean, hell, we were inventing ways to lose fucking football games.
We were.
So, it's time to start winning. All of this is going to play a part in it. The offseason workouts is going to start beginning. It's going to get these guys signed. He's been throwing out extensions to certain players. That's the real thing that I think that he's done better than anything else is manage our salary cap. So it's time to start winning football games, fellas. I mean, I know I am. Aren't you guys tired of going to watch the Chicago Bears? And he's sitting up there working hard for his money and then throwing that shit away to go fly to Chicago or fly this and there to go watch the Bears get beat by 4 touchdowns in the cold weather on top of that? Hell no. I could watch that shit at home, but I'm tired of driving to the bar and walking out there with my head hung down because I got their damn colors on and we don't know how to call a fucking timeout with 2 minutes left in the damn game. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go on a tangent, but you know what I mean.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. So, G. Walkers, whose draft was this? I mean, who ran this show?
This was Ben Johnson's draft, man, and you don't bring a guy in with this type of pedigree from, pretty much having the Detroit Lions, the top 3, top 5 offense without giving him the keys to the city. You know what I mean? You don't bring a guy in like this and you never paid him this much money to not make the decisions that we need to make in the draft. You don't bring him in to be a pacifist. You don't bring him in to be second seat to Ryan Poles. You paid him too much money. So he's in the driver's seat. He's on the console. He's Captain Kirk right now, man. And Ryan Poles is his Spock right now. You know what I mean? So this has been Johnson's draft. The fact that he knows that Cole Kmet is out of money. You know what I mean? Cole Kmet is not a good blocker. He got a tight end. He knows that the left tackle position is not set, whether it's between Karan, whether it's between Braxton Jones coming off injury. He's trying to get paid. He knows he had to get somebody in here. Defensive tackle, Andrew Billings is getting up there in age. Grady Jarrett is getting up there in age. He knew that we had to get somebody in the middle of that line. So a guard, he went and got everything that we need to help build this farm, except for safety and except for pass rush. So the fact that those things been left out there, that kind of made me scratch my head. It kind of made me scratch my head, but at the same time, he's not a defensive head coach. So I don't think we was going to be able to get everything in this draft at the premium positions. Right. But it's his first draft, so I'm very optimistic. I can't wait to see what he can do with the running back. I can't wait to see what he can do with Loveland. I can't wait to see what he do with Bedard. All that is dope to me.
Yeah.
So it's a good draft in a lot of ways. If you put it together from the free agency into the draft, I would have to get the Bears an A right now. From fixing the whole line, getting the All-Pro. From the free agency.
Shit.
From the free agency into the draft. I said free agency into the draft.
Well, okay, all right. That interior offensive line, yeah, give him some credit for that.
I'm gonna give him an A from the offensive line to the draft. All that together right now, I'm gonna give him an A because we never had an offensive line the way we got it right now, at least on paper. Ryan Poles didn't do nothing for this offensive line in 4 years. Ben Johnson get here in one offseason, he bringing All-Pro and Super Bowl winners. Guys that block for Pat Mahomes, guys that block for Brady, you know what I mean? Guys that were good in Detroit. So he brought in some guys that played the position and know how to play it. So from now to then, from the receivers we got to the new tight end, Jamar Turner, yeah, man, I'm going to have to give him an A for the whole offseason process right now. I got to give it to him. Sorry.
Shit.
Sorry.
Oh
Plus,
shit.
thank you, your real said.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Go ahead, Todd.
Clarence talked about Andy going to games. I thought about our new friend Urel there. He was at the Commanders game and still bothered to show up as a Bears fan at the draft. And we just have to go. But yeah, I mean, if you survive attending that game and don't give it up and become somebody else, a fan of somebody else, then
I'll take a C+.
That's pretty good.
That C+ is my grade. I damn sure ain't no A, but C+ is my grade.
I'm going to call that a collab draft. I don't know that I'd call it all Ben Johnson, but it certainly wasn't just Ryan Poles in charge of it. So it was
sure.
collaborative. So anyway.
So guys, real quick, let's go around the horn. Give me your
What's
final
up, CJ?
thoughts. Todd, what do you got to say about anything at all? What are your final thoughts?
Oh, we're out of time. I was going to be the get off the lawn old man guy griping about these kids wanting to have these retired jerseys, be able to wear those. But that's another subject for another day. We don't have to talk about that.
So, G. Walker, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah.
Man, my final thoughts is that I'm impressed with everything that Ben Johnson's done so far. I've been impressed with what Ben Johnson has said as far as no block, no rock. I like what he said about. I'm more intrigued about what people are going to do when they're not getting the ball. I'm more intrigued about, when they're not getting the ball. He's setting the tone. He's very direct. You know what I mean? That's going to vibrate through that locker room. You know what I mean? So I just like it, man. I like that they spent money on a coach. I like that they spent money in the offensive line. I like that they went and got guys that they know that don't fit the scheme, and they're going to get rid of guys that don't, and they're going to bring guys in that do. So this is all new. I mean, I'm like you guys at the same time. I want wins. We have a promising quarterback that we've never had this whole time. We got a new revamped offensive line that we didn't have. We seem to almost have it fixed in one offseason, which blew my mind that he did that. That was kind of crazy. I didn't think he was going to go out there and get the guys that he did. I didn't think we were going to get Drew Dahlman. That blew my mind, and that was crazy. So the fact that Ben Johnson is aggressive, he goes out there and take risks, and there's no risk without reward. There's no risk and no biscuit. He's showing you the reason why he probably had the top offense in Detroit, and he's bringing that mentality and that culture to the Chicago Bears, and I'm all on board until I see otherwise. So benefit of the doubt for me. Go Bears.
Chicago Clarence, what are your final thoughts?
Well, I mean, just nothing than what I don't always say. This stuff has got to translate to wins. I'm sick and tired of watching us lose football games.
Me too.
Plain and simple. When you think about some of the way these guys are being paid, guys making $25-30 million a year, and we still have double-digit losses every year. I'm sick of that. We are a flagship franchise. And we are the laughing stock. And to sit there, I know that we cost ourselves draft position by winning that last game, but that's just how much it means to beat the Green Bay Packers. Right. Because we supposed to be a rivalry, but they win all the damn time. It ain't no rivalry when one side wins all the time. You have got to switch that shit off. And I'm sick and tired of losing to the Green Bay Packers every single year. It's high time that we start to win this division. The Detroit Lions have won this division 2 straight years. You know what they changed, guys? They changed their coach, who went in the locker room and changed the philosophy and got everybody out of having the losing mentality, and everybody start to believe that whenever they take the field, we have got the talent, we have got the coaching, we should win this football game. That's what we need in Chicago. I am praying that Ben Johnson brings that. What Walker said is absolutely correct. No block, no rock. We need to start holding people accountable. People have got to stop talking in front of the cameras of what's wrong in the locker room when your ass is not going out there to do the damn job. You know what I'm saying? We're paying people to come in there and perform, and we ain't getting it. And then when we lose football games, everybody wants to stand in front of the camera and throw the damn team under the bus. I ain't with that shit. You know what I'm saying? Too many people are well paid. And you need to start earning your spot on the damn team. And if you don't, your ass is out of there. Anybody who knows how I operate, I got a bowling team. I'm the team captain. I don't tolerate half-ass shit.
He has thrown people off his team.
I will kick my mama off the team if her ass ain't out there performing right. And I mean, if you really know me, you know I ain't lying.
No.
So as
I believe-
imagine, you know,
I've
as
heard the
you know,
stories.
when you are a football franchise and you are paying people millions of dollars to go out there and perform, and you're not doing it and you're not holding them accountable, shame on you. And that's just what I want to start seeing out of this football team, day in and day out. I want to go see out them perform, and if you ain't performing, I want to see this team hold you accountable.
So Uriel, thanks for joining us.
Corner's going to be in the building.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see it. I can't believe they drafted. I can't wait to see it.
So Uriel, thanks for joining us. Thanks for the comments. Like I said, my friend, just send me a message and I'll bring you on the show one day. But definitely come watch the games with us, man. Well, guys, until next time, I think our next show will be on the schedule release about May 12th, 13th. No, it's 14th. I think that'll be our next show. And then we'll probably be like the Chicago, like the real life Bears and hibernate for a while because that'll be the end of the news.
But don't forget, we're going to be in Chi-Town.
Yes,
in June. We're going to rock. We're going to go get up with our boy G Walker and have a show live. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, Jay Walker, we got to put that together.
Yeah,
you need to talk more so to Clarence. You need to organize that more so with Clarence because of his bowling schedule.
Yeah.
Bowling a couple of nights.
He told me he's gonna be from the 3rd to the 8th, and I got my daughter's birthday. I got my mama doing this.
Oh man.
We definitely gonna get to it though. No, we gonna figure out something.
We'll do it at a birthday party.
Yeah.
You need a dope party. You know how we do it.
Yeah.
You need to watch Clarence at the bowling alley. He gets really wound up there too. Trust me.
A bowling birthday party.
Right.
Well, guys, as always, G Walker, what platforms can we find you on before we sign off?
Man, you can find CNG podcast along with my guys, CJ. You know what I mean? Then you got OG Allen, who's a part of the CNG podcast. We're on Facebook, we're on X, we're on YouTube. Whatever platform you think you guys can find us at, we will be there.
So, guys, with that being said, I'm Andy from the Bears Den Podcast. You can find us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. And on behalf of Todd, Chicago, Clarence, we are the Bears Den Podcast, C&G Podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for comments. Peace. We're out.
Peace. Later.
I know y'all mad because championship gold looks good on the blue and orange. But in all seriousness, Green Bay, we are in the shadow of Lambeau Field. And I love Lambeau Field because the king of the North, the best quarterback in the NFC North, Caleb Williams, is undefeated at Lambeau Field. And in case y'all aren't familiar with my game, let me remind you, I am a visionary. I am a revolutionary. I am Seth freaking Rollins. And I am here to tell you that with the 56th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the greatest franchise in the NFL, the Chicago Bears, select Ozzie Tropillo, tackle from Boston College. Let's burn it down and bear down, Chicago.